Let's shoot. Okay, let's shoot. The first, we're dealing with two topics today. Two very essential topics. Yeah, there are people out there who is doing everything humanly possible to ensure that our history is being stampeded, and that is the essence why we are going to deal with some of these pressing issues. One of the most fundamental thing is that I don't want situations whereby people who come to this class will be cajoled by people who doesn't even know their left from right. So that is the essence. The essence of coming to this class. I advise you, if you have kids, you have wife, you have children, it's like it's an evening, they get together. For some of us, most of us who are in Europe, it's evening as well, so it's not too much of a big time difference. But those who are in Northern America and all that, because time difference could, the meaning of good means I am that I am, I stand to be corrected. Well, we'll talk about that. We're not going to talk, it's not, well, I agree with the Benin's migrated from Egypt as per, well, we're going to talk about that as migration. There's a video I did about migration. The Benin's did not migrate from Egypt. Edo or Isiagmo. There is no principle of migration, so we didn't migrate from Egypt. I will tell you why Irayoa had to. Okay, if there's time, I'll tell you why Irayoa said the Benin's migrated from Egypt, because his mentor was Passy Amory Talbot. The Passy Amory Talbot believes that all that is black is archaic. So when he saw the civilization of the Benin people, he felt it was practically impossible for the Benins to have been that civilized. That is, we call the hypothesis that was created by Talbot the Hamitic hypothesis. The hypothesis that believes that all that is black is archaic, all that is black is uncivilized. So when he saw the Benins were very civilized, the only thing he believes that the only way the Benins could have been civilized is because we came from Egyptian. To him at that time, he believed that the Egyptians were white people. There are contrary researches that disprove that the original Egyptians were white people. The original Egyptians were obviously black people. So it was because one of the people, if you read one of the popular books of Irayoa, the Southern Gods, the Southern Gods of Niger Delta, there's one of the books, popular books of Irayoa. He made mention that one of the most someone that has the most enduring legacy in his attribute as a writer was Percy Amory Talbot, popularly called the P. Hill Talbot. He was a British historian and an anthropologist. So he believed in an hypothesis now called Hamitic hypothesis, which has been disproved by African scholars. So it was true that mentorship that Irayoa got from Passy Amory Talbot, because he read quite a volume of his works, that made him to postulate that Benins came from Egypt. Benins never came from Egypt. Yeah, if we can exhaust the Kwokmanya, is not really a topic. It's not really a topic. It's a sober reflection. It's something that no, we didn't migrate from Egypt. So Felice Omoege, I agree with you, but that the other one is not more of like a topic. It's just it's not a topic per se. It's just something that I want us to talk about. We are not. Stop forcing what we are not on us. CJ Jackson, stop forcing what we are not. You ask a question and I'll answer. So we are not Shemite. We are not from any Egypt. If you are from Egypt, fine. We are not. Benins are not from Egypt. Benins are not from anywhere. Where are the Egyptians from? Answer that question. Where are the Egyptians from? Okay. So Benin did not migrate from anywhere. We're born and raised there. Just like God created Egyptians in Egypt, that's how God created Benin in Benin land. Okay. Alright. Ubini. I said I was going to explain 3 different words, the origin of them. Ubini, Igodomigodo, Edo. Now, I'd like all of us to pay attention. It is very important. I'd like all of us to pay attention. And it is very important. Please, 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 please. The first thing that we want to deal with today is Ubini. U-B-I-N-I. Let them ask you questions because you are not dealing with illiterate all through. Take it or leave. Correct Benin history. Because I have old Benin history books which the copyright is not going to please to my request. Yeah, that's why I will block you. The reason I'm blocking you because of there's nothing I'm going to tell you that's going to make you believe that whatever I'm saying is not true. Now, what you just said is that your stories are full of lies, and that's why I'm going to block you. Because you're not expecting the truth from me. You've zeroed your mind that whatever I have to say here, they are completely lies. So if you are here to listen, if you are here to ask questions, then ask questions. But when you have already asserted that my story is full of lies, then I'll block you. Just like I will block you now. So if you come next week Sunday, ask your question and let me lie. Alright, so that's the point. So if you are sure of your teaching promises, I'm going to block you because you said whatever I'm teaching is lie. So I will not want to condone someone who has already zeroed the mind as lie. Beautiful. Okay, alright. So anyway, I think we'll deal with that CJ Jackson show. I think we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that. I think how to answer that is first to tell you how Igaiwa wrote how he wrote. Alright, not I write the concept of the Hermetic hypothesis, and from there we'll be able to draw conclusions on how Igaiwa wrote how he wrote. They being black and Egyptians are white. The original Egyptians were not white, they were black, my brother. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, sorry, they're always trying to distract me. I don't go to their own platform where they are saying the truth. That's the annoying thing. I don't go to their platform where they are saying the truth to disturb them. I don't go to their platform where they say they are saying the truth to disturb them. So they should also leave. They said my platform is a lie platform. So they should also leave my platform for me to lie. So where they are saying the truth, they should go ahead and say the truth. Yeah, you said so, Mr. Sonyo Gemoyi. Anyway, I think maybe I'll start turning off the camera so that to the other side, so that I don't get distracted. Okay, like I was saying, we're going to deal with 3 words: Ubini, Igodomigodo, and Edo. All right. The first one we have to deal with is Ubini. Now, there is a concept out there. They said the first word that was used is that it was the Yoruba that gave us the word Benin. That the word Benin it's a word that originated from Ile Ibinu. Alright? That's what they said. But here I want to prove that that's not true. Alright? That Benin, B-E-N-I-N, never came from Ile Ibinu. Ubini as a word never came from Ile Ibinu. It doesn't even, Ile Ibinu, Ubini, it doesn't even correlate. Ubini is an old ancient Benin word. Old ancient Ogiso word. It has been there even before the establishing of the Ogiso dynasty. I'll prove so. And I will prove who named us Ubini. Now the word, and secondly, some said that it is the Portuguese that named us Benin. The Portuguese never named us Benin. I will attempt to answer. I will attempt to answer that concept of that the word Ubini never actually came from Ile Ibinu, and it was not the Portuguese that named us Benin. All right, so I think that's all it's going to be like. Now, in classic works done by, I'm going to give you the reference of where this story I'm going to narrate of the word Ubini is coming from. There are two prominent historians that attempt to answer the origin of the Benin people. The origin. Now, there is a difference. Igayoa attempted where the Benin people came from, but he never spoke about the origin of the Benin people. The prominent historian that talked about the origin of the Benin people is the late Professor Osborne Omoyegie. Late Professor Osborne Omoyegie, who was coincidentally was also a student of Jacob Obadiah. Now, after which Professor Osborne Omoyegie, OSB, popularly called OSB, Omoyegie, passed on. One of his best students, Dr. Umudiagmontine, also postulated another book, and where he did a classic works called the Benin Polemics, the Benin Historical Polemics. Now, I think that's the title of the book. That's the title of the book, the Benin Historical Polemics. While Professor O.S.B. Omorike's works was on Great Benin, Volume 1 to Volume 5. Now, the essay for today is Volume 1. We want to talk about the age of Isonoro. It is Volume 1, titled Age of Isonoro by O.S.B. Omorike. That's when he made mention of the origin of the Benin people. Now, classically, Professor O.S.B. Omorike believed that the Benin people experienced what all the world historians, the world atlas, talked about as post-Adamic cataclysm, the end of the world, the great flooding, the second great flooding. Now, every world historian believed that there were two great flooding. Now, Professor Omorike believed that the Benins experienced the two great flooding. Now, he made mention specifically of the second flooding, which the world historians call the post-Adamic cataclysm. And it is there he postulated that at that time of history, the Benins migrated from their original home of around the Bobahil area, present-day Bobahil area, migrated to a place called Uhe. The Uhe that the Benins migrated to is the present-day Kogi state. So, in one of my videos, I had proved factually that the original Ile-Ife that even a Kaladeran went to is not the present-day Osun state. Alright, in the works of Professor Boba Akun, he had rhetorically asked that in which Ife was the original Oganense kings of the Yoruba. So, now the original Uhe is not at the present day Ile-Ife. It's a present day Uhe, Kogi state. Even in the Portuguese archive, they talked about the Oba of Benin paying tribute to a king they called Ogane. Obviously, it's Ogane. And the oldest tradition of the Ife people, the Ikedu tradition, postulated that the original kings of Ife were called Ogene. And Ogene is a Benin word or an Edo word, still being used by the Urhobochi. So these are some of the things. So you have to pay close attention for you to be able to grasp, because these things are quite voluminous. I'm trying to find a way of bringing them down, giving a wide scope of explanation to try and channel it into the concept of what I want to explain as Ubini. All right, that's what I want to explain as Ubini. Please, if you want to get, I'm sorry, they said I shouldn't be distracted. In fine, Bernstein, I'm just going to answer this question because I have a mandate today. But let me just quickly take this. Now, I'll refer you to a book done by Graham Conan. Did an archaeological excavation on Benin. Get a book called the Benin Archaeology. Also, I've forgotten the name of the book, done by Graham Conan. Graham Conan, Conan, did an archaeological excavation. So when you read the book, you discover that there are so many archaeological explanation to that. So I'll just quickly say that. And so let me go back. Now, according to Professor O.S.B. Omerige, he said that there was a post-Adamic cataclysm. All right, the age of the great flooding. That is what the world historians call the Noah's flood in the Bible. The Noah's flood in the Bible affected the entire world. All right, the Benins traveled to a place called Uhe, where they established a sort of a priesthood. All right, a sort of a priesthood. It wasn't really a king. They were more of like a priest kings. All right, and then after the flooding receded, they had to travel back. During the traveling, I'm quoting from O.S.B. Omorige's work on Great Benin Volume 1, The Age of Isono. During the traveling down back to where they had left, there were breakovers. Okay, Paidu, who is believed to be the progenitor of our race, was the one who led the Benin race from moving from the central Benin around the Boba Hill area and moved up north through Odede and Alayede. It's the Aduwawa road, and they got to a place below the Great Waters. The Great Waters in Benin history is called Ohimi, River Ohimi. River Ohimi, it's not the River Niger. The Benin is called Niger River Ohimi. We have a Benin word for that, Ohimi. OHINMWIN, Edo, River Niger. So the Portuguese recorded it that there was a king that the Benin kings, there was a priest that the Benin kings was paying tribute to. The king stayed below the Great Waters, and the Portuguese called him Organen, which we know it was Organen. So we're referring the king that place we're referring to is believed to be present day Kogiste, the one below the Great Waters, River Niger. So they all came. I'm not going to talk about that story today. And they all came as there was a breakover. The Aka broke over to establish Udo. Then the other two sons of a Paidu, Efa and Emehi. All right. So that means you have two prominent families, Lamefa and Lamehi. Emehi's family and the Efa's family. Now, when they were coming, the scepter bearer, the man, the priest, like the priest attendant that was attending to Idu's shrine at Uhe, all right, followed Efa and Emehi, and that man is called Azama. So when you go to Isehiri Oloton's compound, you see a space over there where they'll call you, where they wrote Azama Nuhe. He was the priest attendant. He was like, he's the present position occupied by the Oni. He was like the chief priest of the Idu shrine at Uhe. So it's called Azama Nuhe. He's the scepter bearer. So he followed Efa and Emehi. So when they got to the Benin land, the present day Bobahi area, Ona Bayoto. Alright? Now, when Efan Emehi, obviously Efan Emehi was not born here. Alright? Was born at present day Kogi, what we call Uhe. So, looking at the dense forest with the Ogba River and the two extinct river of Otegele and Omi, alright? The Otegele and Omi, they are extinct now. We have the Oba River flowing through the dense. We're talking about the story more than 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Way longer. Maybe like 2,000-3,000 years before the Ogiso era started. This is the story I'm narrating now. So they looked at the beautiful dense forest of the present place you now call Benin City, and they called it Ubini. Now, Ubini is an ancient Edo word, or rather means a place of heavenly pageantry, because they had looked at it, it was beautiful. It looks like the Garden of Eden, the biblical Garden of Eden. For those who are Christians, it looks like the biblical Garden of Eden. So they called it they called it Ubini. All right, the Ubini has a meaning. The meaning of Ubini is a place of heavenly pageantry, or like something spectacular, something beautiful, something amazing. All right, something beautiful, something amazing. All right, that was the name that the earliest children of the progenitor of this land named this land, a place of heavenly pageantry. This was word that was exclaimed by Efa and Emehi. All right, now we are all the children of Efa and Emehi today. All right, now the okay, the Urobos traces their ancestry to Aka. All right, Aka went to Oyabudo. All right, so the lines of the Aka is where the Urobos came from. So that's why the Urobos still referred to the Benin people as Aka people. All right, a reminder of who their father was, who the lineage at which they came from, in the children of, as part of the line they came from, in one of the children or one of the sons of Paidu. All right. So it was the Efa and Emehi that named this land Ubini. We're talking about almost 5,000 years ago history before the era. No. Jesus never existed that time. The history of that era, the history before the Ogisoshi. All right. So Ubini, that's when the Efa and the Emehi named this land Ubini. These works, you can get it in Great Benin. Written by one of the most prominent Benin historian, Professor O.S.B. Omoyegi. All right, so it was named so that became the name of the land hundreds of years even before Ogiso era came. So, having said that, if you understand the click, I've said that over 2,000 years before the Ogiso era started, this land at one point in history was already called Ubini. All right. Now, it is not wrong for people to now say that the exclamation of Oromiyan calling these people Ile Ibinu was where Ubini came from. So I've just explained that Ubini as a word had existed thousands of years before the Oromiyan ever came from Ife. All right. So Ile Ibinu has nothing correlation in terms of name to do with Benin. It is from that Ubini that the Portuguese in the 15th century could not pronounce. All right, and they called it Benin. So Benin is a corrupted word. It's a corrupted original word called Ubini. So it is wrong also for people to say it was the Portuguese that gave us Benin. No, the Portuguese didn't give us Benin. The Portuguese, obviously because they came through the water, and the earliest people, the people they met through at the waterfront before they got to Benin were probably the Shekiri, and the Shekiris at every turn of history knew us as Ubinin people. All right, so you know now, just like I'll give you another very good example. Now, for some of us who are acquainted so for some of us who are acquainted with Benin City, there is a street called Akpakpava. All right, there's a street called Akpakpava. Now, Akpakpava is not the original word. It's not the original word. Okay, it's not the original word. What was the original word was Papavie. All right, Papavie or Papavie, Papavia. It was a Portuguese word that they named. They were staying in that Apapava area. So because the Beninese could not pronounce it properly, we now call it Akpakpava. All right. So that does not mean that the Benins were the one who gave that word. We only, because we couldn't pronounce it properly, we'll not call it Akpakpava, because it was convenient for us to pronounce it as Akpakpava. So also the Portuguese that came, it was also convenient for them to call it Benin rather than Ubini. So it was not the Portuguese that gave us the word Benin. Portuguese never named us Benin. They only corrupted the original word, which is called Ubini. So Benin is a corrupted version of the original word Ubini. All right. So, and I have proved that Ubini as a word had existed long even before the Ogiso era. And the people who named us Ubini, people do not really know. There's one point in history that this our land was called Edo land. There's one point in history this our land was called the land of the Efas, Otoefa. All right. And there was one point in our history where the land was also called Otubini. Ubini. Now these were words that were used for our people, for our land, long before the establishing of the Ogisoship. It was the coming of the first ruler recognized. I wouldn't call first ruler. It was the coming of the first recognized king of this land that brought the word Igodomigodo. Some say it's I am that I am, or some say that the land of the strong, because Igodo means something strong, the land of the brave. So the Benins named the land after Igodo. There are two schools of thought. You see that the Benins named it after their first recognized king, Igodo, or it was an exclamation that the first king of Benin said, Igodomigodo, I am that I am. Something like that. Or some people believe, it's two schools of thought I just gave, that it is the land of the brave, the land of the strong. Igodo means something strong. Just like when you have a warrior, it's called Igori. Igori in Benin means warrior. Igori means warrior. So Igodo means strong. Strong. Igodo. Igori. Igodomigodo. No, not Ubini. Mother Yekepolo is Ubini. The original word that our ancestors gave to this land long before the Ogiso era, even the Oba era, was Ubini. Ubini. Okay, might talk and fast, you want to go sleep. Make I talk and slow now. If you sleep, you come back, come watch the video now. Yeah? Might talk and small so that people will understand. So, do we understand? So, the word Ubini existed long even before the Ogiso era. Alright? And it has nothing to do with Ile Ibinu. Alright? Now, at the time this land was called Ubini before it was called Igodomigodo. At one point in time, it moved from being called Igodomigodo to be called Ubini. At the time the Portuguese came, the first people the Portuguese met were the Shekiris, and the Shekiris called us Ubini. Alright? If the Shekiris had met Urobo first, if the Portuguese had met Urobo first, probably they would have called us Akara or Akara, because the Urobos till date refer to us as Aka. So it was the people they meant first, who they seek for direction, that called, oh, you're going to the land of Ubini. And Benin, you know how it is. You guys used to watch Premiership now. When they used to call Odemigi, they say Odemwingi. Obviously, I'm just trying to play around. But the point is, they could not pronounce Ubini and they call it Benin. Okay, so that's the point. So I like playing a lot. So they called it Benin. So that's how it came. So at one point in time, our land was called Ubini. Benin is now what is corrupted to call Benin. So it is not the Portuguese that named us Benin. It's a corrupted original word called Ubini. And Ubini originally was the word that was given to us by our earliest founders, the direct sons of Paidu, Efa and Eme. He called us Ubini. And I have said that Ubini means a land of heavenly pageantry. It's an ancient Edo word, or ancient Aka word, or ancient Idu land word, or ancient Igodomigodo word that means a place of heavenly pageantry. Okay, a place of heavenly pageantry. Okay, I've explained that, Abi. Okay, I've explained that. So Igodomigodo as well, I've also explained that. So Ubini was a word that had existed long before the word Igodomigodo came. At one chain end, it was not called Igodomigodo. So eventually, the last word that was named after us was Edo. Edo, and I proved that Edo is not the name for the entire empire. It's like a capital. Edo is the capital of Ubini. I've said it. So the Obaiwa the first to pay what that slave Edo did, the sacrifices he made for him. Alright, he now named the capital of his empire Edo. He did not name the land, the entire land Edo. He named the capital of the empire Edo. So the empire remains the original name, Ubinin Empire or Benin Empire. I've explained that. Why the capital of Benin Empire is Edo. That the seat of Oba is Edo. The seat, the administrative headquarter of the empire is Edo. Why the empire, it's Benin. So that's why may not be like say my foil won't finish. Anyway, I don't know what I see. I think I might still have foil. Okay, so having said that, I've been able to explain how the word Ubini came about and how the word Edo came about. Okay, Edo was a word. There was a slave, a boy that helped Prince Ogun because he was supposed to be killed. He was captured by the Ogefa and was put in the Ogefa's well. It was supposed to be caught by the Benin people, and eventually maybe they wanted to kill him. So it was the Edo that gave him a ladder into the well that Prince Ogun escaped with. Eventually, when he escaped, eventually at one long history, a mountain helped Prince Ogun to eventually become the Oba Obaiwa. So after he became the Obaiwa, to remember him, all right, he went to, the first thing he did, he the master of Edo killed Edo for having disobeyed him. So when he now became the Oba as Obaiwa the first, he went to exhumed the body of Edo. He went to